Stop right where you are. Whatever noise is filling your mind, whatever weight is pressing on your chest this morning, set it down for these next few minutes. This is not a casual message. This is not another motivational clip you can half listen to while scrolling. Something is shifting around you right now, and if you keep moving at the same speed without paying attention, you will step into a season that costs more than it should. I am speaking to the part of you that still recognizes the difference between temporary relief and lasting peace. You have felt the quiet unrest for days, maybe longer. You have called it stress. You have called it fatigue. You have told yourself it will pass once the bills are paid, or the conversation happens, or the decision is finally made. But deep down, you already know that unrest is not random. It is a signal, and signals exist for a reason. I see the door you keep standing near. You tell yourself you are only looking. You tell yourself that this time, the outcome will be different because you are stronger now. But strength is not the same as permission. Surviving something once does not mean you are meant to keep revisiting it. Some doors were closed for your protection, not as a test of your endurance. Walking back through them will not prove how far you have come. It will only reopen wounds that have finally begun to close. If these words are landing in the place they are meant to, type Amen in the comments right now. Let that simple word mark your decision to keep listening. You have carried more than most people around you realize. Nights when the weight felt heavier than your strength. Days when you smiled because silence felt safer than honesty. Moments when loneliness grew so loud that almost any comfort seemed better than the quiet. I was there in all of it, not as a distant observer, but as the one who stayed when no one else understood the full story. I do not bring that up to shame you. I bring it up so you understand that the warning coming now is not rejection. It is protection arriving early. The quiet disturbance inside you is not a defect. It is precision. I placed it there so you would feel the pull before the cost becomes permanent. Do not silence it the way you have silenced it before. Do not explain it away as overthinking. That unease is the first mercy. The second mercy is this moment itself, reaching you while there is still time to choose a different direction. Be honest with me, not polished, not careful, honest. Name the thing that keeps circling your mind. Name the old pattern that feels familiar enough to be safe. Name the relationship, the habit, the private compromise that still holds space in your thoughts, even after you told yourself you had moved on. Secrecy gives it power. Naming it in the light begins to break that power. I already know every detail. I am asking you to speak it because something shifts when you stop hiding from yourself. You have come farther than your current doubts will admit. Places that once stayed raw have begun to heal. Ground that used to shift under your feet has grown solid. Do not trade that solid ground for a few hours of temporary comfort. Do not exchange the quiet strength you have built for the old weight that once felt like connection but left you emptier than before. The warning itself is evidence that I have not walked away. I do not warn those I have abandoned. I speak ahead of the consequence because love arrives early. You are living in a season thick with voices. Many of them sound gentle. That is the part that requires the most care. Soft doesn't automatically mean safe. A voice that soothes in the moment is not always a voice that leads toward life. You have measured voices by how they feel when they first arrive. I am asking you to measure them by what they leave behind days later. Think carefully. There are words, people, and patterns that make the pressure ease for a short time. Yet each time you walk away, you notice a little less clarity, a little less resolve, a little more willingness to compromise on things you once held firmly. That is not coincidence. That is direction. Comfort and truth can travel together, but they often do not. Warmth can carry harm underneath. Understanding can still steer you away from wisdom. The feeling of being seen is powerful, especially after long stretches of feeling invisible. Do not let that feeling become the reason you stop examining what is actually being offered. If this truth is settling into your spirit, type "God is great" in the comments. Let that declaration push back against every soft lie that has been trying to settle in. Here is the practice I want you to carry. When any voice reaches you, whether a person, a private thought, or something you consume in quiet hours, do not stop at the question, "How does this make me feel right now?" Ask instead, "What does this produce in me over the next several days? Do I become clearer or more confused, more rooted or more willing to lower standards, more courageous about what is right, or more skilled at delaying what I already know needs to be done?" Tone can be manufactured. Gentle language can be chosen on purpose. But the fruit that appears over time cannot be faked forever. The real story always shows itself in what grows. The influence that works against your peace rarely arrives with aggression. It comes through permission, through words that sound like freedom, but slowly loosen something important inside you, through comfort that validates your pain without ever inviting you to grow past it, through reassurance that quietly lowers the standard you were holding until the standard disappears and you barely notice it is gone. The goal is always the same: to move you forward before wisdom has time to speak, to make compromise feel reasonable, to make the door you needed to shut feel like it still deserves to stay open. It arrives wrapped in exactly what your tired heart was craving, at the exact moment you were too worn to examine it carefully. Raise a standard inside yourself, not suspicion toward every person, but genuine commitment to guard what has been built. There is a difference between being suspicious of everyone and being wise about what you allow near your spirit. Wisdom is alert. It knows the difference between warmth that heals and warmth that numbs. It knows when rest is a gift and when rest is avoidance. My voice is different. You have felt the difference even when you could not name it. When I speak, something in your deepest place recognizes the weight. It challenges without crushing. It is honest without abandoning. It asks hard things and, at the same time, supplies the grace to face them. That combination is the signature. A voice that only flatters and slowly erodes your inner ground is a voice to step back from, no matter how pleasant it sounds. Let me become the primary voice. Bring every other word to me. Hold them up against what you know of my character until imitation loses its power. Spend enough quiet time with me that my tone becomes unmistakable. Start today. Let what I am saying right now become the loudest thing inside you. There is opposition working against your peace, and it needs to be named accurately. It does not usually announce itself with open attack. It works through subtle permission. It finds the place where you are most tired, most lonely, or most desperate for relief, and then offers exactly what you crave at that moment. The offer always sounds reasonable. That is how you know to slow down. It will dress old attachments in the language of healing because they feel familiar. It will take legitimate pain and use it as justification for a choice that will produce more pain later. It will speak of freedom while quietly tying you to something that keeps you stuck. You are not powerless. You have been given discernment. Discernment does not work through constant suspicion. It works through the habit of pausing long enough to ask the right questions before you move. Do not let how convincing something sounds be the only reason you agree to it. Bring every pull, every familiar pattern, every voice that begins calling you back toward what you have already left, and place it honestly before me, not with a prepared argument for why you should be allowed to keep it, not already half committed and hoping for confirmation. Come with an open hand and a real question. Is this from you? Does this belong in my life in this season? What will this produce if I accept it? Then be still enough to listen. Let the noise of your own wanting settle. Notice whether the urgency fades in the quiet. Notice whether the peace that comes when you are close to me increases or decreases when you hold the thing up to honest light. Those observations are not small. They are the information that protects your future. You have a history of sensing something was off before you could explain it. That signal is real. The problem has never been the absence of the signal. The problem has been the habit of overriding it, telling yourself you are being too cautious, that the unease is only fear of change, that it is not as serious as it feels. Sometimes the unease is only fear, but you do not decide which kind it is by silencing it. You decide by bringing it to me. My voice does not require chaos to be heard. I speak in the clarity that remains after the noise dies down. If a direction only feels right when your emotions are frantic, be careful with it. Truth does not need you destabilized in order to become convincing. Pressure does. Everything I ask of you comes with the grace to walk it out. Every hard word comes with strength to carry it. Every door I ask you to close comes with the resolve to actually shut it. When something claiming to be my leading leaves you spiritually hollow, divided, or full of inner noise, that is not my hand. That is something else, wearing a familiar disguise. Come closer in the ordinary moments, not only in the crisis, in the small pauses before the day presses in. Let my voice become the one your spirit knows best, so that every substitute is measured against it automatically. That is how you stay steady in a noisy season. Not by becoming suspicious of everything, but by becoming so anchored in the real thing that counterfeits cannot hold you for long. If these words are finding their place in you, type 1111 in the comments as a quiet agreement that you are choosing clarity over comfort. Now, I need to speak about the people around you. Some of what is disturbing your peace is not a habit or a private struggle. It is a person. And this is an area where you have often been more patient than wisdom required and more loyal than was healthy. Not because caring was wrong, but because you measured the wrong thing. You have measured safety by intention. You asked, does this person mean me harm? And because the answer was usually no, you concluded their presence must be acceptable. But safety is also about what their presence produces in you over time. A person can have good intentions and still leave you emotionally drained. A person can care about you in their own way and still keep you tied to a version of yourself you have already outgrown. Intentions and fruit are two different things. Begin measuring the fruit. After time with this person, does your thinking grow clearer or cloudier? Does your resolve to do what is right strengthen or soften? Does your prayer life stay open? Or does something settle between us? Does your self-respect increase, or do you find yourself making excuses just to keep the peace? These questions matter. They reveal what is actually growing in the soil of that relationship. Some people belong to an earlier chapter. They mattered then. They may even have been essential. But a new chapter has begun, and it does not automatically carry every person from the previous one. This is not judgment on their character. It is simply the nature of growth. When a river changes course, it does not drag the old terrain with it. It moves into new ground, and not everything from the old path can fit. Release the idea that loyalty always requires proximity. You can hold someone in genuine regard and still create distance. You can wish them well from the core of your heart and still limit how much access they have to your daily life. Those two things do not cancel each other. Sometimes, the most loving thing is to stop maintaining a closeness that is no longer honest for either of you. There are people who keep you tangled in old patterns simply because they have not grown in the same direction. They are not villains, they are not enemies, but they are not suited for where you are going. Continuing to give them front row access to your thoughts, your private hours, and your decision-making is costing more than you have admitted. Your emotional energy is not infinite. Your attention does not automatically replenish. When significant portions of those resources go into relationships that leave you more depleted, you arrive at what matters most with less than you had. You arrive at prayer half empty. You arrive at important decisions with thinking still clouded by the last conversation. I am making adjustments in your relational world. Some connections are being loosened. Some voices are moving toward the edges. Some conversations are becoming less frequent. If you have noticed this and felt guilty, if you have tried to force proximity back into something that was gently fading, stop. Do not chase what I am moving. There is purpose in the shifting. I am not building isolation. I am building space. The kind of quiet where you can hear yourself think, where you can feel what is true, instead of what you have been told to feel by whoever is nearest. That space is not emptiness. It is room for something better. When a connection cools naturally, let it cool without guilt. When certain conversations leave you scattered rather than settled, return to them less often. When your spirit consistently feels unsettled after time with a particular person, that is not pettiness. That is discernment doing its work. Honor it. You do not need a dramatic betrayal as permission to protect your inner atmosphere. You can create necessary distance without anger and without a lengthy explanation. Begin investing limited time and emotional energy into relationships that leave you more anchored, more at peace, more truthful with yourself and with me. Gravitate toward the people who make you feel more like the person I am building, not less. Guard the atmosphere around your heart carefully. What fills that space shapes your thinking, your courage, and your sense of what is possible. Some of the greatest limits on your life right now are not external circumstances. They are the accumulation of voices and connections that have slowly contracted your vision of what you are capable of. I know what rises in you when I ask you to release a relationship. You think of the history. You think of the moments they were there for you. You think of their pain, and your heart softens immediately. Compassion is part of how I made you. But compassion and wisdom must travel together, or compassion becomes a door through which everything enters, including what was never meant to stay. Endless availability is not the same as genuine love. Refusing to create distance is not the same as faithfulness. Sometimes, the truest gift is allowing someone to meet the real consequences of their choices rather than always softening everything for them. When the pull of compassion rises as a reason to keep a door open, do not silence it. Bring wisdom into the room with it. Ask honestly, is keeping this door open actually helping this person grow? Or is it simply removing a discomfort they need to sit with? And equally, is this proximity serving the work I am doing in you? Or is it consistently pulling you sideways? Those are different questions from the ones guilt usually asks. Guilt asks how you can close the door when they still need you. Wisdom asks what is truly helpful and what you are doing, only to manage your own discomfort about distance. Become comfortable with a particular kind of hard thing, letting something end without needing it to end badly. You have believed that stepping back requires a dramatic justification everyone would agree with. That is not true. Waiting for that kind of permission keeps you attached longer than you should be. You are allowed to reduce contact because a connection consistently leaves you less than you were before. You are allowed to let conversations become less frequent because they keep redirecting you toward old ground. None of that requires accusation or public explanation. It requires honesty with yourself and the willingness to act on what you already know. Do this gently. Do it without contempt. Do it without broadcasting your reasoning, but do it. A quiet withdrawal is still a valid choice. You do not owe every person unlimited access to your time, your thoughts, or your emotional labor. Those resources belong first to the life I am building in you. The people I am preparing for the next season are those who will make your spirit feel larger, not smaller. They will leave your thinking clearer, not murkier. They will speak honestly, even when honesty costs them. They will not require you to shrink or soften your discernment in order to stay close. But those people cannot arrive at the depth they are meant to if the space they would occupy is still filled with connections that slowly drain it. I am not clearing room to leave it empty. I am making room so something better can fully inhabit it. Trust the shifting. Trust that what is fading was not abandoned carelessly. Trust that I am curating, not simply removing. In the meantime, bring the people you are stepping back from into your prayers, not to manage their lives from a distance, but to release them properly into my care. Your stepping back does not mean they are forgotten. It means you are handing them to someone more capable of carrying them. And it means you are finally picking up the version of your own life that has been waiting for both of your hands to be free. The guilt that follows you whenever you try to protect your inner world has been working against you for a long time. Needing space does not make you selfish. Generosity is real and valuable, but it was never meant to mean the complete absence of self-protection. Even a field must lie fallow sometimes in order to yield again. Appropriate limits are not the enemy of love. They are often what keeps love from being entirely spent. Come forward without everything resolved. Come with the willingness to act on what you already know, and trust that I will handle what your stepping back leaves behind. One final thing must be addressed before we close. It has caused significant harm in the past, and it is active again right now. The feeling of urgency. The sense that something must be decided immediately. The pressure that builds when a person, a situation, or your own mind insists there is no time to pause, no room to think, no space for careful prayer before an answer is required. Hear this clearly. That kind of urgency almost never comes from me. My leading does not arrive as panic. It does not demand that you abandon stillness in order to move. When pressure insists that delay equals failure, step back. Truth can wait for clarity. Only counterfeit urgency cannot. If the content of this channel has ever brought you strength, clarity, or peace in a difficult season, consider supporting the continued work of this community. Subscribe if you have not already. Leave a like so the message reaches others who need it. And if you are able, support through the link in the description so these words can keep going out. You are not being asked to have perfect clarity about every relationship or every decision. You are being asked to stop silencing the signals I have already placed inside you. You are being asked to measure fruit instead of feelings, to raise a standard of wisdom alongside your compassion, and to refuse the urgency that tries to push you past the quiet place where my voice is clearest. The door you have been standing near does not need to be opened. The voices that soothe but slowly erode do not need more of your attention. The connections that leave you smaller do not need more of your energy. The urgency that demands immediate movement does not need your agreement. Come closer, not only when everything is breaking. Come in the ordinary quiet. Let my voice become the one you recognize within a few sentences. Let the peace that remains after the noise settles become the measure you trust. If this entire word has settled into your spirit, type Amen one more time in the comments. Let that be your agreement to walk forward with both hands free. I have not brought you this far to watch you return to what once broke you. The ground under your feet is solid now. The healing that has begun is real. The next chapter is already forming. Stay awake, stay honest, stay close. The choice in front of you today is smaller than it feels, yet it will echo farther than you can see. Choose the direction that leaves you clearer, more rooted, and more free. I am still watching. I am still near. The better door remains open. Walk through it.